All right.
All right.
Wednesday, and are we in the basement? What country are you in, Eugene?
No, man, I right here waiting for you, Tim. I'm at the student hotel in Florence. I got out of United States of America. It was actually a combination of dropping my older daughter off to school, and we're trying to figure out like how do we time things. So obviously, there's another way of doing this is coming in as a business person as well. So I had an invite. So you have to show up with an invite from either a customer or investor or whatever. So anyway, I got out and I'm in Florence, and Adina is on the other side of this student hotel, which has two sides, the students that are staying there for a year. And actually, just last thing before I show you, every room has one of these. Hold on.
Spread the love.
So, you know, as a father, I'm not sure, you know, how I appreciate it or not, but
as a semi-child.
That's what Marina says. I think we're all kids, but anyway, welcome to season 3.
Yeah, that's right, season 3, and we're starting from Florence and Dublin. I'm in the Health Beacon data room, experiment user lab.
You've been promoted.
Exactly. They're testing me. They're hooking me up and testing me with devices.
This season piece, you know, I mean, let's see. We've been extended by YouTube. We've been now featured on the Health Podcast Network, and just last week, I think I tweeted it that we have a partnership now with Amazon Music, so we're on there as well now. This is
spray and pray, baby.
And 130 subscribers. So let's see how our guest for this season will, you know, bring us to that 1,000 or whatever. But
I think we've nailed it with the seasons. I think I think the seasons is the right thing. You know, kind of fights you through. Yeah, kind of marks time.
I don't know. It gets me through the week every week, I have to say.
And before we let Marty in, we haven't announced our guest yet.
It's okay. Now you did. It's fine. No worries. But go ahead.
So how's Florence? Is Florence?
So this is what I call double chin accessory much.
Right.
I mean, everybody's just doing this, like, you know, outside. And then, you know, granted, you know, walking in, but it's just odd, right? Because I've been kind of just really on the lockdown. I mean, the travel was interesting too. It was maybe 25% full, the plane, so plenty of space everywhere. But I mean, honestly, it's actually pretty busy, right? Like really busy. Everything is just busy. I mean, you don't see the weather. I mean, it's been like raining here and there, but otherwise,
cafes open and people going to restaurants, and so that's nice. So do you miss Europe after tasting it a little bit?
I posted something on Instagram, like a picture of myself, and Marina texted me that I look good, and I'm like, Europe looks good on me, so that's it. I missed it.
I wear it well. I wear it well,
exactly. But so you mentioned already, Marty. I think we mentioned Marty every single one of these. So Marty Kelly.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, we might as well let him in and just like
let him in. So we have the CEO, HealthXL. Kind of all things linked back to Martin and HealthXL when it comes to shot of digital health here. So
Marty's coming on. Oh, what?
Nice. Can I take it off?
Looking good. Looking very, very.
Okay.
I was just about to put mine on.
Yeah, I have mine. I have a Scottish one because my son went off to Garber in school this year, so has
cool.
Kind of
Nice. Wait, nice. Marty, was yours the HealthXL one that I didn't get? Oh yeah. All right. Okay.
Does it make you jealous?
It does actually, and I was telling Jim, at least here in Italy, it's double chin hiding accessory.
So Martin,
Anyway.
so for anyone that, how can anyone not know Martin Kelly and HealthXL and?
Yeah, I feel like this is going to be a disaster because I think every episode you've mentioned HealthXL, and now it's like, oh,
Right.
that's the guy? That's it? You kidding me? That's as good as it gets.
Well, it's funny because part of it was Jim and I were discussing, like, when do we get Marty on, right? Because you brought us together. And actually, a lot, if not most of the guests, somehow tie back to HealthXL in the first 2 seasons.
Really. It depends. If they're successful, we claim it. If it was a failure, it's nothing to do with us, right?
So so you're kind of like government.
Never ever been described.
But by the way, since I'm not in my garage, I went out today and I got a little grappa, and I wanted to make it convenient. So it comes with its own little shot. So I can actually drink with you guys. And
excellent.
So
I thought that might be the case. So I did bring along, given the Italian connection, this is a bottle that Jim and his lovely wife Emmy gave us about 6 years ago. And I think we usually take it, like every year we go down to like 2 centimeters or 3 centimeters, keeps us going.
All right.
But I'm going to take that and take you up a level. Seuntjens, this is what you want to be drinking, right? Forget about that Italian stuff. You want the French, they know what they're doing. They're a lot better than the Italians. Right?
As they say, when in Rome, even though I'm in Florence, but
yeah.
So cheers, Marty. Pleasure having you here.
Thank you.
I don't have anything to drink. But so Martin, other than swimming, so give us, for anyone that possibly doesn't know Martin Kelly, give us who is Martin Kelly anyway? Who is this master connector?
Geez, I'm lost for words. North side.
Don't choke. I'm
going to tear it up, I guess. Dublin, North side. 60 soul, rugby, father.
Sounds like a Twitter profile.
Yeah, I was gonna say, just add hashtags.
Yeah.
So let's go back.
I talk forever about myself, that. So like, if you really want me, I can tell you the.
Well, okay. So you're the CEO of HealthXL. You're a former IBM venture. You worked for Mars. Like a food. What was it?
Yeah,
Mars?
I did. Yeah, I worked for Heinz and Mars. I started. I grew up. My mom and dad were both entrepreneurs before that was a cool thing. In the mid '80s in Ireland, and I saw the struggles, and I thought I never want to do that, and so I went off to work for Bank of Ireland, and I was always into computers, always from probably about 10 years of age, and I was very lucky. I had a physics teacher who was a brilliant guy. I just knew I want to work with computers. It was just as simple as that. And but in the back of my head, I always thought it was, there's got to be. I was always admired what my parents did, even though I saw it was pretty tough. And so I spent years working for big companies like Mars and Heinz and PwC and Bank of Ireland and IBM. But I always wanted to start my own company at the back of my head, And like you, Jim, did the MBA out in Smurfit. And that gave me the time to think about, I'd always had a technical career. I realized I had to do a stint in sales, so I came back from the MBA and said, look, I need to spend some time in sales and business development. And IBM gave me that opportunity. And I did that for years in healthcare, selling into the Irish market. And and then actually just in the right place at the right time when they were setting up their European venture group.
Right.
And that was just, just an amazing opportunity. And it was a blank page, it was like, go and figure out what we should be doing with entrepreneurs and investors in Europe. And that worked out pretty well. And that's where I think we met up through the SmartCamp stuff. And,
right. But do you, I don't know if we can say this, but you came up with SmartCamp, IBM SmartCamp.
Yeah, no, you can say it. Yeah.
Give him full credit. Full credit.
Yeah.
But I think IBM SmartCamp. So you invented. So it was kind of your concept. So what was the concept with IBM SmartCamp? Do you remember IBM SmartCamp, Eugene?
Yeah,
right?
yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah, the concept was we kept meeting.
I remember when I met Marty, I was impressed because somebody said, "Oh, look at this is the inventor of SmartCamp."
So what was happening back in sort of 2010, 11, everybody was excited about consumer internet, and all the VCs IBM went to visit were like, hey, we like Facebook and we like social media, like you guys are boring enterprise.
Right.
And so they wouldn't even talk to us. And despite the fact that we were investors in them, there were, we were LPs in all these funds, about 80 funds. They just be like, and so we had come out at the time with this vision of a smart city and a smart planet, which was basically taking all of Internet of Things and big data and all that type of stuff and thinking about how you solve some of the world's big problems like traffic and transportation and making healthcare smarter and making education smarter and making agriculture, everything. It was called Smart Planet. It was like literally, and so IBM had all this cool technology, but like had no applications. And so we had to go and find entrepreneurs who were doing interesting things, So first company we found was in forestry, and they were taking pictures of trees. They were called tree metrics, and they're still taking pictures of trees and then figuring out how much wood was in them and basically doing analysis and making, so we found all this amazing stuff. We found these microfinance companies in Africa and, Skin Vision, who the PHS guys, we found them in Romania, and we brought them. And so and I remember we pitched the idea.
Did you bring Steve together, by the way? Yeah.
Yeah. Steve and the founder. And, what basically we pitched the idea, and we said, what we'll do is we'll get 5 really cool entrepreneurs to come together with 25. IBM had an amazing network, clients, investors, companies who were buying about 20 companies a year when I was there. And so we had this amazing network, and we're like, let's just bring these people together. Like, they just don't come together. And we said we'd do it in Ireland. And at the time, there was such pushback from corporate. They were like, what about IP? What about this? What about that? And I remember there was one guy, a guy called Kevin Bishop, stood up and said, he said, we'll do it in Ireland, and if it messes up, it won't be on the front page of the FT. And just let them do it, let them,
and you tested that because you did get
on. yeah, exactly. That's a different story. But and so it went from being this kind of what the hell is that to like this huge success that people all around IBM put up their hands and said, we want to do one of these. And so we had teams in China and Israel and Brazil saying, we want to do it. And so this thing just caught fire, and it went from being like, what the hell is that, to everybody saying like, oh, I'm a SmartCamp. And so, and it ended up in New York with Mayor Bloomberg, and we'd run all these sessions around the world, and we had this amazing African company win it, actually, from all around the world, and they were doing microfinancing. And at that stage, I was like, okay, this has run its course. I want to do something kind of on from that, and that kind of gave me the platform to pitch HealthXL to IBM. And at the time, Chris Coburn from Cleveland Clinic was saying, hey, this is a good thing, and we met some people from Novartis who wanted to do something focused around healthcare, and that's where I think we started hanging out.
Right. But I remember I got a call. Go ahead.
This is a good story.
Go ahead. You tell the good story. We all have great stories on all of this.
Yeah, well, then you go first. You go.
What? No, I was gonna just dive deeper into for our listeners and viewers a bit, like HealthXL, great. But if you have a story on it, go for it.
Well, so I got a call from like the head of the Irish kind of pension, so that one of the we'll say Nick. I got a call from Nick Ashmore, who who invested from the Irish pension fund, right? And so you always kind of return Nick's call. Always going to return Nick's call, and he says you got to meet this guy Martin Kelly. He's looking for healthcare entrepreneurs, or just kind of meet him. So then we kind of rocked up into one of the kind of SmartCamps, kind of HealthXL, kind of,
We'd taken over this, we were kind of squatting in this big warehouse. I'm not sure what the legal situation was. We had this big warehouse, and Jim rocked up, and I said to him, we're doing this thing, blah, blah, and you just said yes. And I said, it's in Miami. And you just said yes. I was like, I'm not going. You're like, I don't care. I'm going. So,
yeah. The first day you said, yeah, what was it? We just met. That was the first one. You said, we're doing a SmartCamp around healthcare and we need people to go. It's going to be taking place in Miami. Yes, I'll go.
So was it already called HealthXL, by the way, for this first one, or was it still SmartCamp? That part I don't know, actually. When was the actual birth
so
of HealthXL?
So the actual birth to HealthXL, so that was kind of the next phase on. So SmartCamp was all of these one-day events, a competition, pitching, promotion. And some of the companies did amazing. I mean, the first company that won got 15 million investment, not from the VCs who were around the table, and the runner-up got 20 million, and they were actually a healthcare company from Miami. So that kind of set the scene, but it was still these one-day local events, competition. Yeah. And we said, actually, and it was across, transportation, education, forestry. We said, let's do something focused, and let's take the accelerator model and apply it, kind of a hybrid accelerator model, and apply it to digital health. And we invited all these companies. We did another road show and went to Minneapolis and all these places and found these interesting companies from Ghana and Finland. And we brought them to Ireland, and it was the middle of the global financial crisis. And we had the Irish government kind of, they were trying to find good news stories, quite frankly. And we were bringing these international entrepreneurs to come to Ireland and to try and help them connect with all the local pharma guys and the tech guys and all this type of stuff.
Didn't one of them, or am I going crazy, had some kind of immigration issues or something?
The guys from Africa, the ClaimSure guys. We had.
Oh, that's right, ClaimSure.
So Seth and the guys from ClaimSure, and we had invited them, and then they got refused entry. And so we were in this awkward situation where the Irish government was backing this program. They were they were supporters, and they were saying, we want international entrepreneurs. And then we also had just all this hassle of, and so they had kind of said they wouldn't be allowed to come, and they'd said, okay, well, we're not coming. And then Jim was like, no, that's not good enough, And so, there was a lot of behind the scenes diplomacy, and my wife was heavily involved in talking to people in immigration, and eventually Seth came, and then the team came, and so they were just amazing, so him and the team came from Ghana, and they basically lived in the office pretty much, and just soaked up every
I just remember if we would actually be producing this, I would actually ask you for that video, because I still remember the pumping music as Seth and team were walking on stage.
Oh yeah.
I all of a sudden it's just in front of my eyes now.
It's just such a moment. Seth has the most amazing smile, and he's a guy that makes me look tall. It's amazing, and he was wearing full kind of Ghana traditional shirt, and he walked on the stage, and he didn't do anything but smile for
That's right.
2 minutes.
What year was this, Marty?
I think my memory isn't great. I think it was 2013. 2013.
Yeah, that makes sense. 13. Damn, going down the memory lane. 13. 12 or 13.
7 years. Yeah, 7 years.
Well, yeah, and then you had a great crowd there. That was amazing. But that, isn't that when did the magic start happening with HealthXL? Was that the magic?
I think it's been such an amazing journey, and still on it, but there was all these kind of ups and downs. Obviously, the interesting thing about the accelerator was that it's probably the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, and because there's seven companies, and any one day, and they're all early stage, and any one day some of them's having a crisis and some of them's having the best day ever, and so you're kind of sitting in the passenger seat with all these entrepreneurs who are going through these ups and downs, and on any one day there was always so much drama, of teams are breaking up, or whatever, or people had just landed their biggest customer and they're trying to figure out what to do. And so but what we learned through that whole journey was that just how hard it is and how hard it is to build a company from scratch. And then secondly, that we needed a much bigger network, because we need to, if you think about digital health, it's so complicated because you have to get the payers involved, you have to get the regulators, you have to get the patients, the physicians, the investors, the entrepreneurs. So there's all these people who can say no. And what we're on a mission to do is to help connect leaders who want to solve healthcare challenges through technology. And so we believe that it's all about bringing people together, and still goes back to SmartCamp, and the whole idea of finding great people, putting them together with a passion, and trying to bring together groups that don't naturally come together, because we tend to cluster around people that we know, and it's like, how do you bring in new folks?
Yeah.
Even though we've been kind of exploring on this shot of digital health of getting people we don't know, we had one in the 2 seasons. but so it proves the point, actually.
But if we include people that we've met before and we forgot, we've met it before.
That's just you, Jim. That's just you.
All right. Yeah, that's a bit tricky.
So Marty, you're like in a perfect position, because I can do this for like another couple of hours, especially now that I'm drinking, just going down the memory lane. There's lots of Say it again.
Usually don't even drink that much, but I feel like your Wednesday is your drink.
I mean, I'm in Italy, it's evening already. This is actually kind of weird doing this like at 8 p.m. here versus my 2 p.m. normally, right? So I don't mind.
Eugene didn't drink before I met him, and now I think it's your bad effect, Jim. Like
I didn't drink.
Not much. You weren't doing shots every Wednesday.
That's true. But that's because of the situation as well. Every Wednesday
it's the situation. That's right.
The situation. But I was gonna go to a little bit of like current, right? Obviously, you just kind of described a little bit of the HealthXL, and it's funny because we've been saying, all roads lead to HealthXL, and actually prior to that, a little bit of the Health 2.0. That's how we came together, right? We met, I think, in Berlin. But you get the benefit of being in the midst of all that network, in the midst of the players. I mean, just today, GoodRx went public, right? I think I didn't look at the latest, but 30 or 40% above what they opened with, right? Profit. I mean, we've had so many things happening in the last 3 months, probably more than anything else. What are your customers seeing? What are you seeing as HealthXL? Like, we probably should do like a 3-hour special on memory lane, but today let's just jump in for the next time.
Okay, we're into the serious part. Okay.
I'm sorry, man.
Yeah, I thought this was just going to be fun. What do we mean? I think you see all the headlines. So we were talking yesterday to Glenn Tullman, right? And so that deal is like a bit of a watershed deal. And a year ago, the Livongo IPO was a watershed deal, and now GoodRx. I don't, I kind of get excited when I see 18 billion or whatever. And then, but I think that's only part of the story. So I think, we're only at the start. Like really, it feels a bit like, you go back, you guys are old, you go back to like 96, 97, when people are talking about
speak for yourself.
I know it's true. So you remember that time when everyone was talking about like Amazon coming along, and there was never going to be any more physical real estate retail, and like it's probably taken 20 years to get to where we are now. Feels like we're kind of there with health. It feels like we're 20 years behind with healthcare, and what COVID has done is kind of started the ball rolling, which was rolling 20 years ago in most other industries. So what we're seeing is, March and April were kind of funny. And then like, we're just about to close our quarter. It looks like we'll be twice what we thought we'd be for the quarter. And that's kind of on two sides. One is enterprises just going deeper, so we work with your old guys, Bayer and BMS and Roche, and I'll just going broader, right? So we brought on a new customer recently, and they asked us to do a couple of master classes, and we said fine, kind of get to know them, and then 400 people turn up for the master class. It's like, okay, I wasn't expecting so many folks. So that's kind of one example. And then also on the individual side, so what's been good for us is that we don't need to do all this travel. So I was just on the phone to Sean Hogan, Jim, before we came on, and we were talking about all the travel we used to do. So we don't have to do that anymore, but yet there's no real good way of groups coming together for conversation. And I have a very kind of schizophrenic view around those big events like JPM. So on the one hand, they're cool. On the other hand, they're very inefficient, and it's a very random process. And how do you create small groups of like-minded people from who don't necessarily know each other, who feel passionate about improving the healthcare? And that's what we're trying to do. So that's really taken off, and people just like that model. So we keep less than 10 people. We try to break the ice a little bit, so people aren't talking at each other. They're kind of being human like you're doing now. And then also trying to share their knowledge as much as they can, and sort of say, like, here's what we're seeing, here's what others are seeing, and just having a bit of dialogue, and rather than kind of everyone talking at one another. So that's what we're seeing.
Wait, I have to say something. I have an announcement to make.
Wow.
Yeah, I like JP Morgan.
Okay.
That's the announcement.
Right. Okay. You know it's not happening, Jim, right?
I missed the travel. I was like a 3-year-old kid getting on that plane a few days ago.
Yeah. But you don't want to do it, sorry, I just realized the lighting isn't great. You don't want to do it like every other day was what.
No, I get it. I think what you're doing is fantastic. Sorry, Eugene, I cut across you. I want to make that announcement. Everyone, I always hear people with the JP Morgan thing is like, kind of giving out. But I have to say, like, I remember being critical of you, Martin. I think when you're going to JP Morgan for the first time, and I was like, we're not putting money into that. What are you talking about? Like, there's no way, And then I went and I was like, Jesus, everyone's here. But then it blew your head off, because
I loved it. The first time I went, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. Like every day I had like 15 meetings running back to back, and I did that. And the second year I was like, this is good. And then like the third year I was like, people aren't really paying attention. Like everyone's like jet lagged, and like
it's a zoo.
Nobody followed up from the last year I had like this amount of, but nobody actually followed up. It was like the fourth year I was like, I'm just confused. Like, where should I be? It's like, so I went through a bit of a cycle. No, I think we've all found it we're all extroverts. It's a bit weird being stuck on this island for so long. But I don't think the old model I think there's things we could do with the old model and be.
I don't think the conference industry will spring back, because I agree. And actually, if you think about the JPM, right, I think there's or any large conference, there's two extremes. One, on one side, you come in there to actually like you already pre-agreed with a deal, you're kind of done, and or just serendipity meetings, right? But nothing. Right. The middle is actually not there. I mean, you might have some of those meetings, but it's kind of the extremes. And it's like, why not have these relationships built over a small number of people, on weekly or monthly basis? So I mean, to me, it's only 3 a week, but I love your model, Marty, on monthly basis with different topics of the experts sharing the opinions. And
there's no doubt, it's funny, there's no doubt that's like, we wouldn't have done that before, probably, right? Like, so the fact that now we can, we're given permission to kind of put 10 people, you coordinating whatever the number is, 5 to 10 people on Zoom, go deep on the topic. And we wouldn't have given ourselves permission to do that, right? Like, it would have been, I don't know what the format would have been. Like, it would have been a dinner, I guess, People
wouldn't have done it. Like, I can, right. I was meant to.
I mean, everybody would sign up for Jim's joke at dinner. So, like, if you just make that as a.
It's like a fine wine. It gets better the more you hear it, the longer it gets.
The more you drink. Yeah.
The more drunk.
Don't do it now.
The more drunk
Speaking of, it's 8:30
but can we just
p.m.
come back to that for a second? Because I can remember I was meant to go to HIMSS in March, and literally the Friday I was meant to be traveling on the Saturday, and I just decided not to go. And I was going to fly to Orlando. I was going to drive to Jacksonville, 3-hour drive, to have a meeting with a client for an hour, and then I was going to come back. And the main reason I was going to HIMSS was really actually tagging on that meeting to see that customer, because they wouldn't have got on a video. Like, people wouldn't do it. They were just like, call me when you're in town. And then, kind of rang the guy up and said, I'm not going to be there. He said, okay, let's do a video. And so that was the first time that, I think people started saying, okay, let's do it this way. And so much easier.
It's funny.
I don't know. I'm finding that it's actually working. I mean, I've been getting like introduced for your coach stuff, right? Like, and it's working. And it's, you know, you grab like a virtual coffee, right? And or lunch or extended. Like, I think it's working.
Yeah, I think so. It's funny. I posted. I had to take a tweet down the other day, which I very rarely do. I had to take a tweet down because I posted it. I posted a tweet it was just the office, the Health Beacon office, and it was empty today because we just had these additional lockdown measures. So, you know, half my office is empty. So I just took a photo of the.
Why did you take it down though?
And I posted a tweet because the perception, we're in the middle of a funding round, and the perception of having an empty office, you know, someone was a little worried about. So I kind of said, okay, fine. You know, I don't want to show an empty office. You know, even though it was just one of those things that didn't mean that much to me to have the tweet up. So
I mean, now it's on video. Now it's on video, Jim. By the way.
Yeah, it's 140. But my point being was the debate was like, you know, it's like dear virus, please let my employees come back. You know, was the tweet. You know, but I looked at it really quickly, and it kind of went really. You know, a lot of people looked at it. So, anyways, one of the guys called me and said, "Hey, Jim, you know, not everyone gets your humor. Take it down."
Well, cheers to your humor.
We lose Eugene. But
I should be back.
But I was saying that, but someone immediately, actually, you know who emailed me right away was Nick Ashmore, who connected us, Martin. He emailed me right away when he saw the tweet, and he's saying in his office they're having a huge debate about the young people want to stay home, the younger members of his team want to stay home, and the older people want to go back to the office, or they want to have more in-person meetings. Yeah. And the older people tend to be the managers, and the young people, you know, in that circumstance, and they're having like this conflict around, oh, we got to get in person to do it, you know, but they say, well, what about the virus? And so it's leading to a lot of tension. I have you found that?
Yeah, it's been very interesting. So none of my team want to come back. And most of my team are young. Maybe it's because they don't want to see me. I don't know. But I mean, productivity has gone through the roof. So what people have said is they'd like to come back into the office maybe once a week or maybe once a fortnight. And actually, I think that's probably the thing I worry about is that, you know, you kind of lose that bond with people. There is a certain, right. So I think, you know, what we're trying to do, we're probably, as you know, in Dublin, we're going into a bit of a lockdown at the moment, but what we'd like to do, hopefully, is, you know, bring everyone together at least once a month for, you know, maybe a Friday for a couple of hours, kind of talk through some stuff, maybe have lunch, do some, people seem to really miss the social side of it. And it was interesting, even when we did our event, we did a little networking, and it was at the end of all the meetings, and people just wanted to hang out and just chat and, you know, kind of talk about different random stuff. So, no, I think I'm not in a hurry to get everyone back, and I don't think we will all come back to the office. I do think there's some kind of hybrid model where it's good to have people together maybe once a month or something. So
yeah, definitely. You know, I'm definitely in the camp of like people. Like I do like the idea of like mixing it up. I think that's how I've worked for years. I just did it on.
Well, my CEO lives in the same household, so you know I can't escape.
Nowhere to hide.
That's right. But you know, it's interesting, right? Because I think just generally, I'll say tech startup teams have been virtual and coming together. So it's like it's a little bit kind of okay. So what?
Yeah.
You know.
Right. But the creativity is what I lost. I saw there was a podcast. I saw the VC, you know, VC 20 or something, whatever it's called.
20-minute VC.
Yeah, 20-minute VC. The Calm CEO was on, and he was talking about, and I thought he made a really interesting point, which was, you know, it was this time for daydreaming, you know, in this time for this capacity, that creating time for. I feel like the Zoom, the video, the Teams, you know, the engineering mindset of efficiency, do your production work or whatever, you know, and produce something and, you know, ship code. that, you know, that assumes that you don't need, you know, kind of idle time, you know, random, you know, bumping in, social cues, popping, you know, that idle time in a car or in an airport, that it makes the assumption that's all unproductive, that it's not giving out innovation. I think it's innovation that will suffer with the video.
You're right, Jim. I think just external stimuli, like, you know, sitting in the one place. I mean, there's a couple of things as well. Like, I see people doing these back to back. I was talking to Robert Garber, and he's like doing, you know, 12 hours back to back of calls. I'm like, I'm not going to do that, because that's not, I'm not going to be productive doing that.
Right.
And I find that even just like getting on my bike and cycling for an hour and going out to the sea and just getting different stimuli. And that's what I miss about travel, is kind of seeing different things, movement, you know, just all the external stimuli. I miss that.
So you're not ordering a virtual reality set then?
No, I haven't got into that. Are you're always the latest and greatest. What's
you know, honestly, I like, now that I'm in a startup, I don't have time for any of that. Like, it's just executing. So I haven't really had. Can you guys hear me? Yeah. Really no time. But I find. Sorry, last thing. I find actually, I mean, the external stimuli from a travel perspective, yes, but I was actually going to do like an experiment in the next couple of weeks, just like leave my Zoom open and just tweet it out, because I'm a big believer in like serendipity, like hop on, right? Like if you're a follower, like I'll do it for like an hour and see kind of who shows up. I'll let you guys know. I'll be recording it.
Oh, that's funny. That's really good. That's really good. Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that whole, but I wonder, you know, there's this whole idea. I remember I was doing a meeting right as the thing was, we were going to see some investors in Germany, and I was traveling with, you know, an attorney to go to the meeting. And I was like, this is amazing, because we literally spent the whole day going to Germany to one meeting, you know, that was for 1 hour, and then flying back together. And we were like, and he brought up the point. Are we frozen there? Are we?
Just Marty.
He brought up the point of like just the sheer focus you put into that meeting as a result of that. You know, like the sheer mental focus and attention that you put into that one meeting, and if it was an important meeting, and it's, you know, maybe it's indulgent or something like that, but that's, you know, like versus this kind of efficiency from hopping the thing to thing to thing. So this kind of productivity gain versus this focus. So it's always attention, right?
You know, it is what it is, and I think we're all just adjusting and trying to figure shit out every day. And you know, how you build new relationships, how you retain the old ones, how do you sell, how do you, I mean, it's how do you travel from one country to another?
Right.
Well, we're in a really good spot. You know, you can imagine having a restaurant or a pub or running an airline or something. Like we're in the middle of an industry that's transforming itself, and we're probably on the crest of a wave in terms of the opportunity now.
I mean, honestly,
we'll just have to.
I agree, right? I mean, I think just healthcare, but like, you know, I went into this little thing by the, you know, a liquor store to get this. And I asked the lady, I'm like, you know, how is business? And she said, we are open and still alive. So I'm thankful for that, right? But of course, you know, the tourists are not there.
That's
I mean, it's just, so, and that's, that's 40 minutes already, boys.
That's good.
I can do this for another couple of hours.
So
what's your take? Have you actually watched any of the Shot of Digital Health, Martin?
Have I watched it?
Yeah, or listened to it?
Yeah, I've listened to loads of them, yeah.
What's your take?
It's cool. Like, you guys have figured out just how to have fun, you know? It's perfect.
And it's kind of like it's free marketing for HealthXL, basically.
Oh man, I was afraid to come on because I was like, I'm going to ruin this whole thing. Just let that keep going. You know?
Well, we had I remember I tried to introduce with HealthXL. I tried to introduce the policy or the mission statement. You know, was kind of remember this one, Martin? You know, more fun, more fun, less pain.
Yeah. What did one of the year. Jim's been here since the start, since the very start, and
This
Yeah,
will
yeah,
be
like-
called
One
the
year was
More Fun,
particularly
Less
tough.
Pain episode.
yeah.
That was it. Everything had to go. It's like, Jim, do we think it's a good idea? Well, is it more fun and less pain?
Yeah. We're not doing that year again. We're gonna.
That's our investment criteria.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it. So on that note, 42
Thank you,
minutes
gentlemen.
in, that was awesome having you on, and appreciate all the bringing everybody together, Marty. Really, right?
Keep up,
The
Let's not
granddad.
get emotional now,
there's,
because we're not
what's
finished with the seasons yet. It's gonna keep moving, keep going.
Yeah, we signed
what's-
on
what's-
for another season, so.
What's Ben Horowitz's thing to the founders and the challenge? Is it? What's the peace to the founders and the challenge? Is that what he says? You know what I'm
Peace
talking
to the founders. We'll go with peace to the founders, and we'll close on that.
So on that note, hit the subscribe
Thank you.
button. Check out healthxl.com.
Thank you. Arrivederci.
Arrivederci.